cleaning systems out there, and most of them have the same problem. They're interesting to learn, but surprisingly hard to actually do. So today I want to talk about one that I think gets actually way closer than most to being something real people can actually follow. Clean Mama is a home cleaning system created by Becky Rapenchuk. She is an author, has a blog, and a following in millions. And I want to give you an honest, thorough look at the Clean Mama system, how it works, and what I really think about it. Because I do have thoughts. Most of them are really positive, and the ones that aren't are worth you knowing before you commit to a system that might not be the right fit for you. So Clean Mama's core philosophy is simple. A clean home creates a calm life. That's it, and I will tell you, I believe that so much. I mean, of course, life still happens, but having a clean home is just like, mwah, it is what helps life be better. The whole system of Clean Mama is built around one idea. A little bit every day prevents the weekend marathon. Does that sound familiar to you? Because it should, because so many of us do that. But Clean Mama has built an entire practical framework around making that actually happen in a real house with real people living in it, spilling chocolate milk every now and then. Before we get to the individual pieces, it helps to understand how Clean Mama is organized. Because unlike some other systems, and I will link one at the end, it's actually pretty logical and easy to follow once you see the whole picture. So there are 4 layers: daily tasks, weekly tasks, monthly tasks, and seasonal tasks. That's it. 4 layers, each one sits on top of the previous one, and together they cover the whole house without any single day becoming totally overwhelming like that episode of SpongeBob. The daily tasks are the foundation. The weekly tasks rotate through the week so nothing piles up. Monthly tasks handle the deeper work that doesn't need to happen every single week, and the seasonal tasks cover the big jobs, the ones that we would maybe think of as spring cleaning, but distributed throughout the year so they never become a crisis. And this is a super thoughtful and smart design, and it's one of the reasons I find Clean Mama easier to recommend than some other systems. The structure makes sense immediately. You don't need a glossary to understand it. You don't need a whole new vocabulary before you begin. But you do need bookmarks, and there is this book that is really helpful to follow through. So you can look at those 4 layers and easily understand what you're working with. And that matters more than people realize, because a system that you understand is a system that you might actually use. Something complicated, it will definitely not get past the research and planning phase at all. So every single day, I am going to reference this, I'll tell you more about this after, but every single day, regardless of what is happening, the Clean Mama has 5 daily tasks. Sounds simple enough. You just make the beds, you check the floors, wipe the counters, do laundry, and declutter. 5 things every day, non-negotiable. Yes, please. Now, making the beds and doing laundry, you know how I feel about those. Those are my personal non-negotiables. I will die on both of those hills simultaneously, which sounds hard to do, and let's hope it doesn't come to that. Let me know in the comments, are you team do laundry every day-ish or do it weekly, which is my nightmare, but that's fine. I mean, you can obviously modify everything to fit you. But I want to talk about the other 3 because they are worth understanding properly. So check the floors means exactly that. You're not necessarily mopping every day. You're just looking. Is that something that needs to be swept? Does this need to be vacuumed, dealt with? You check and you respond with what you find. Now, you might not love what you find, especially if you have teenagers or cats or both, which is its own special adventure. You're just going to spot clean unless disaster has struck, or you're like, hey, now I'm gonna mop today, or wash by hand on the floor if you want with knee pads, which is my new favorite. Anyway, wipe the counters is the same principle. A quick wipe of the counters every single day, it just keeps them easier to use, as in cook healthy meals, and hopefully not have clutter piling up because you are dealing with the counters. Not to mention that bacteria on kitchen surfaces, did you know that it doubles every 20 minutes under the right conditions? So daily wiping is a health habit, not just a tidiness habit. Nobody has time for food poisoning, am I right? And then the last, which is to declutter. 15 minutes of decluttering built into every single day. Be still, my heart. It's not a massive project, not a room overhaul, just 15 minutes putting things back, dealing with what's accumulated, keeping the volume of stuff from slowly growing. 15 minutes of decluttering a day, it sounds like a lot until you realize most of us spend longer than that just looking for the things we already own. Future you is going to love you so much. On top of the daily 5, each day of the week has one assigned cleaning focus. So Mondays is bathrooms, Tuesdays is dusting, Wednesdays is vacuuming, Thursday is mopping because you vacuumed the day before. Friday is catch-all. Basically, whatever needs extra attention. It's sort of like the anti-procrastination day, so the day that you make phone calls that you hate making. Basically, whatever got missed, whatever is specific to your home that week. And the weekend, well, the weekend is largely protected. Saturday and Sunday are for living, not for cleaning marathons. It's maybe for enjoying gardening or hanging out with your kids or your friends. If the daily and weekly tasks are happening consistently, the weekend does not need to be that rescue operation that so many of us feel like it should be. Saturday is for your life, Sunday is for your soul, and Monday is for your bathrooms, in that order, because bathrooms should always come last. Now, what I love about this structure is that it is so achievable. Bathrooms on Monday, it takes like 10 minutes for 2 of them. Dusting takes 15 on Tuesday. You can listen to your favorite Murder, She Wrote podcast while you're at it. These are not all-day events. They're focused, defined tasks with a very clear beginning and a super fast end, hopefully. And because each day has a designated task, you never have to decide what to clean. The decision has already been made for you. You just do the thing that belongs to today. This is one of the most underrated features of any cleaning system, which is actually why this has existed for centuries. Clean Mama didn't invent cleaning routines, but she created a routine that worked for her because decision fatigue is real, and knowing there's a long list of things to do, but not knowing what to do next. And we have to figure out what to do. Doing the actual thing becomes harder. This eliminates that problem entirely. The monthly tasks. So a couple times a week, you're gonna throw in a monthly task to the rotation. And these are the jobs that don't need to happen every week, but absolutely need to happen regularly, like cleaning the microwave, wiping down the front of cabinets, washing windows, scrubbing the shower tiles properly. That might not be in here, but cleaning out the fridge. Now, these are the type of tasks that cannot be ignored for long, like the fridge, for example. Your nose will be ringing alarm bells. So let's have that built right into the system, which I like. So by distributing these tasks throughout the month, rather than saving them for a big cleaning day, they stay manageable. You're not spending a Saturday doing 12 deep cleaning jobs in a row. You're just doing one once a week as part of a normal day. It also connects beautifully to something I love to talk about, which is my weekly meal planning habit, the fridge audit. When you're already in the habit of pulling things forward and checking what's in there, a proper monthly fridge clean stops us feeling like a project that just is overwhelming. It just starts becoming a natural extension, something you're already doing. You can see what you need, add it to the grocery list. It's perfect. So Clean Mama also adds a layer of seasonal tasks, and these are the bigger jobs. And they kind of like each month sort of has like a theme, like whole house decluttering, deeper cleaning the kitchen, spring cleaning, bathrooms, garage, all of the things in there, which I think is really good. Like touching up the baseboards, cleaning off that thin layer of dust fur, basically. Actually, no, that is more of a monthly thing. But the things that only need to happen a few times a year, but feel absolutely ginormous when they've been ignored for too long, and they make you feel like the house is actually taken care of and under control, which is peak adulthood reached. Plus, by scheduling them seasonally, they never become the Goliath task that you're scared to attempt. They're just the thing that happens this week in March or this week in September. No drama and without a whole weekend disappearing into it. All of it is just so evenly distributed throughout the year that no single season carries the weight of like doing it all. I mean, it's more of a seasonal clean, even though there is like a spring clean. There's always something, but not a lot. And as a former ER nurse, I want to tell you that I think this is so good that when we are doing maintenance, you know, I think about healthcare maintenance. And this is why in my own videos and in my own membership, I talk about how our health and our homes are so intertwined. It's all about just daily maintenance. You do it consistently so that crises never arrive and your home stays the same way. So I want to take a minute to talk about this book in particular. Now, she has a lot of books, but I will link this one below because I think this one is great. It really gets over the foundations of sort of like the daily, the weekly, the monthly tasks, which I feel is helpful. I mean, you do need it. You probably could memorize some of it, but I do really like it. So Simply Clean, it's not just a list of tasks with pretty cover. It walks you through the philosophy, the system, the natural cleaning products that Becky recommends. Like there's recipes for how to make things in here, which is good. It's warm, it's readable, it's pretty, it's practical in a way that good home books should be. And of course it has those checklists like I mentioned, like the monthly, the daily, the seasonal, everything in one place. But here's why the book matters more than just printing a checklist off of the internet. When you understand the why behind the system, you're far more likely to follow it. And I really do, I mean, and I am a person that loves digital stuff, but I do sometimes in situations like this, it's really handy to be able to pull it out and see exactly what the structure is, why she did it that way. And yeah, I think if it's totally worth buying, I'll link it if you're interested. Otherwise, you can just sort of follow along. There also is an app. It sends reminders, it tracks your tasks, it keeps your system organized digitally. I totally understand the appeal for some. It can send notifications, which you will either find super helpful or just learn to ignore with the same efficiency you apply to every other app notification. No judgment. We all have some of those. And if you're like me, you silenced almost everything. But my honest take is I like the book. I like to be able to look through it. But if you're an app kind of person, I totally understand that. Becky's focus on natural cleaning products is woven throughout everything that she does, and I want to give a proper moment because I think it deserves one. So simple ingredients like baking soda, Castile soap, white vinegar, essential oils, things you can actually pronounce and that are cheap and easy to get, and you know what they are and what they do. Usually you don't actually even need the strong stuff in your home, and yet a lot of the time we are using strong stuff just for everyday cleaning, which isn't really necessary. So I think less chemicals is nice overall. Your home, it should support your health. That includes what you clean with. And I often say your home should be your medicine and not your poison. And let's make sure we're not cleaning with poison all the time. So who is this system for? Clean Mama works well, I think, for people who really like a clear framework without a steep learning curve. If you've ever looked at a complicated home management system and felt more overwhelmed after reading about it than before, Clean Mama is probably a way better fit. It's also good for people who like a visual checklist and defined tasks. I like those things. And if knowing exactly what today requires helps you actually do it, the system delivers that very clearly. And it's a strong starting for people who are building habits from scratch. The Daily 5 gives you a very simple foundation that is small enough to be achievable and consistent enough to actually change how your home feels. All right, here is the real talk. What I genuinely love. So I love the simplicity. And this is the thing that I just keep coming back to, because cleaning your house is only a fraction of your actual life. It should not be like this major thing, and it should be easy. So this is super easy to understand from the first time you encounter it. The 4 layers, as mentioned before, it's an easy structure. You don't need a glossary. You don't need to spend 3 weeks learning the system. You literally can just jump in. You start with the daily 5 every day. It works. There's no decision fatigue. The day tells you what to clean. It's really that simple. You don't have to negotiate with yourself about it or decide whether you feel like it. It's just easy to be like, okay, it's Monday. I like to go through the bathrooms, whatever. All of it I like. The work, of course, it doesn't disappear. It just becomes more manageable. And a perfect clean that happens once a month and leaves you face down on the couch for the rest of the weekend is not good. So that's what I like about just sort of spreading things out, and it's what makes life more manageable. So here's what gives me pause though. You need a list. You actually need a lot of lists. And this is my honest, genuine reservation about Clean Mama and most cleaning systems, if I'm being completely fair. The system works, but it only works if you're consulting it. The book, the app, printed checklist on the wall, but only for the monthly and seasonal tasks, unless you have got a really good memory. So the rest of it, you could kind of like make work, and then you could sort of just like fill in the gaps if you wanted. That's not exactly her method though, but I do love the 5. But a habit that requires you to check a list every time, it's not really the same as a habit that runs on its own. You don't need a list to remember to brush your teeth. The goal is to get to the point where on Tuesday you just feel like vacuuming, not because you looked at it, because it's just what Tuesday is. So I get that. But getting there, it takes longer than most people expect. And this is so not a criticism of Becky's system, because you know I do really like it. It's just a reality of most structured cleaning routines. The book helps with this more than the app does, like I said. The other thing is just like the 15 minutes of decluttering might not work for everybody. You know I do say like an hour a day is 365 hours in a year, or 15 minutes a day is like 92, which is great. But if you have more clutter than that, this is where my mighty method actually begins. You triage, you simplify, you organize, you thrive. It's 4 steps, room by room, without overwhelm. If you're watching that and you're like, hey, that sounds really good, you could actually fit this into every other system. And you can get my system at minimalisthome.ca/blueprint. And that will help you know where to begin, because you can get the cluttered handle, and then Clean Mama will work exactly the way it is supposed to. Here's the bottom line. Clean Mama is one of the simplest, most sustainable cleaning systems I've come across. Aside from my friend Ariel's cleaning routine, which I like the most, that awkward mom. But anyway, the philosophy is sound, the structure is logical. The daily 5 alone, done consistently, will change how your home feels. It's simpler than a lot of systems, easier to understand, but it is still a system. And that means it still needs a list, at least until the habits become truly automatic, which feels impossible, because how would you remember all of those seasonal ones? Anyway, read the book, check it out. If you do like a good cleaning routine, check out this video here about the Fly Lady routine. It's another classic, and it's really good for beginners, people who love like a lot of structure and they want like something comprehensive. That would be for you. I hope something great happens for you today. Please like, subscribe, give us a hype, stay tidy and mighty. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.